Right, so we did a power rankings a few weeks ago, Finton. You weren't involved in it, so I suppose your hands are washed up.
You're absolved of all blame here, Finton.
Of the disgrace that it is. So this is what we decided. What was this, about 4 weeks ago now? There was still a load of club championships ongoing. I'll bring it up on the screen here. So we had Shamrocks of Ballyhale in as number 1, so I think we're happy enough to stick with that. Ballygunner, St. Thomas's at 3, Schlockneal at 4, Kilmallock 5, Coola 6, who are knocked out, Killadangan knocked out, Na Piarsaigh knocked out. At the time they were knocked out, but we kept Na Piarsaigh in there because we just felt there'd been enough done in recent years. Blackrock knocked out at the county semi-final stage, and Mount Leinster Rangers, who remain, they're in there also. Are we looking like apes there, Finton?
You'll have to find out the exact date of when was this done, like, in terms of stage. Like, 6 Mile Bridge weren't enough for the top 10. That was one thing I was wondering, like, having won, were they going for 3 in a row clear this year, or were they gone at that stage when you did it? Like,
Oh no, they could have just been gone. Yeah, I think
they were gone. Yeah,
they were knocked out in the quarterfinal. I'm going to look up the date that we did this, because it was just before. So it would have been, I think it was just about a month ago at this stage.
Before the tip semi-final, Shano, I think.
Yeah, because that was the 30th of October when that was played. So it would have been the 27th or 28th of October when we did it. So yeah, just about a month ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, we can have absolve you slightly so, but like, the interesting thing, I suppose, is like Ballyhale is still very, very dominant in Leinster so far. Obviously, winning 4 in a row in Kilkenny. Schlockneal kind of still standing in Ulster. St. Thomas in as the Connacht representatives in terms of they're in the Galway final. Obviously, favourites for that with all the form they've possessed. But it just seems to have been a bit of a sea change in Munster, hasn't there? In terms of the 5 counties that are competing in the senior championship, only Ballygunner have retained, and like 6 Mile Bridge were gone. Na Piarsaigh were gone. You kind of mentioned Blackrock. I suppose I'm kind of touching what I kind of saying earlier. Then it definitely does look like there's kind of a spot for someone to maybe come along now. Depending on who wins the tip final at the weekend. You'd imagine if Thurles get to it, there's a lot of kind of residual, maybe slightly regret there from, is it 1 from 7 or 1 from 8 in terms of the careers, the likes of Paddy Marmite and Carl and that, in terms of Munster campaigns converting them. A lot more than I suppose would be just fascinating to see how they do, like Cracklow in 2014, in terms of kind of juggling them both and trying to go on. But yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, in the space of a few weeks, how much the makeup has changed in Munster. And in fairness, like the champions that have emerged, like, it's not like they're kind of complete novices either. They've all kind of won counties in recent enough times. But I do think it seems to me that there's a big opportunity there, and maybe the most pressure is going to be on Ballygunner. And it's not an easy thing for them in the sense that they haven't played for so long, and similar to what Rapparees and Wexford are facing into this weekend, try to cope with that. I haven't heard if they've been involved in challenge games or anything like that. I presume they might have been doing something, but it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of cope with that, because the gauntlet was kind of laid down for them by a lot of opposition managers. And I noticed that in Waterford. I think, like Michael Ryan said straight after the semi-final, they should win the All-Ireland club, and that was only their county semi-final. And I think Peter Creeley said something similar enough, maybe after Roe had been beaten in the county final. So kind of all eyes are on them, and it's where are they actually, just to refresh my memory there, they're in the top 3 of it.
Ballyhale in the quarter-final, yeah, and they're second at the moment, yeah.
Second at the moment, yeah. So they are probably the ones, from a long way out, given that they've obviously won so many Waterford counties, that the Munster is their ambition and probably further afield after that,
Yeah, so I think it's 4 of the 10 are no longer in the championship. Now, to be fair, as we said, Na Piarsaigh weren't in there anyway. When we picked it, it was more of a legacy thing of having them in there, and the fact that so many of their players are still looking well. We're going to have to rejig that list on the fly here. But James S says, if Thurles won 5 All-Irelands in a row, Shane would have them outside the top 10. So apparently I'm anti-Thurles. This is the thing now.
I think it's real. Yeah, I think it's real, and you're feeding into it nearly most days, and you'll probably feed into it on Thursday's show when you preview the tip final, I'd say.
Pure Hatchet says Ballyea wouldn't bait snow off a rope. Now they're going to have Tony Kelly out, so that definitely is going to hamper them. Emily89 says the 2 times Clarenbridge have won county titles is when a team is going for 4 in a row. Athenry, won Portumna in 2010, so good omen for them. So where would you make, like, are we going to change any of the top 5 there, Finton, as far as you're concerned? I'll bring it up on screen again. Would you be looking at, right, is it Thurles, Sarsfields, Middleton, any of these teams?
Yeah, that's probably the one choice, maybe just number 5, on the basis, and that's not kind of, with respect to Kilmallock, but at the moment, would you kind of rank them the same as whoever wins in tip, and maybe Middleton at the moment, because I suppose they haven't won it in a while. And I know they've still have a fair bit of the team that won in 2015 in the All Ireland Senior Club final. Like the Limerick Championship is a kind of a strange one. Like it's kind of dominated by 3 or 4 clubs, but is it a very, very competitive championship? Like it seems like I think it's the same 4 semi-finalists as it for the last, I don't know how many years, but obviously they managed to come out of that, and obviously Limerick have produced kind of teams that got to the Munster and the All Ireland finalists, but like at the moment I'd be ranking Ballygunner as the best in Munster, and I think of the other 4, you can kind of split them all fairly evenly of the other 4 teams in Munster in terms of letting them in there. But the fact that you're throwing Thurles into the equation there, is that your favourites of the tip final replay that you've announced already?
I actually don't know. I genuinely don't know. And I don't know which of Lockmore or Thurles would do better if they came out. It's so hard. Michael, any thoughts on that? I mean, I find it really, really hard to decide that one.
Well, it's going to be very hard for Lockmore to play Munster club in both codes. And you'd imagine that would, like, you can do it. They're doing it at county level at the moment within Tipperary, but it'd be very hard, if they win the county hurling this weekend and they're playing football the following weekend and then they're playing hurling again the next weekend, that's going to be really, really difficult. And now they have John Matter could be out for the hurling, and maybe these things will start, these little muscle injuries will start kind of coming now. I'm happy. Someone said there that Schlockneil should be lower down. I'm very happy with Schlockneil at 4, I have to say, and I'm happy with the top 4 still and the order of them. It's just thereafter that I'd be wondering. I think you can only have 1 Tipperary team in, so that's
definitely.
So to me, I'd be going for Lockmore anyway. I probably would have them down the lower end of the 10 as well, though, because of the dual issues that I foresee them seeing when they get to provincial level. But I'd be stumping for Lockmore probably at 8 or 9, I'd say.
What do you think, Fintan? Do you think Thurles or Lockmore are more likely?
I think Lockmore now on the basis because they won yesterday. I just wonder psychologically, is the pressure a little bit off them, because they're obviously lauded all over the country and it's almost become a cliche, this unbelievable jewel club or whatever, but it's not really a record they wanted to be going into over the 2 seasons, the 2 COVID seasons, having lost three county finals and trying to win a 4th title. But at least they have a piece of silverware now already in the bag. So I wonder, does that just help them a little bit and kind of act as a little bit of a pressure release? I was just one of the things as well about them in Munster. I remember a couple of times over the years, Noel McGrath has kind of referenced it. Wasn't there, but like they got caught very badly by the Piershig. I think it was 14. Whenever the last time that they were actually in the Munster hurling, they kind of nearly had the game won, and I think they conceded 2 goals later on to someone like David Dempsey. I think Noel McGrath called it one of the worst defeats up there with any county defeat he'd ever suffered in terms of having a game won and kind of stolen from the end. Now you'd probably say, like, maybe I think this interview might have been done before last year's Tip County finals, and obviously those were 2 pretty heartbreaking defeats as well, But like the thing Bernie makes is a good point, because just they're not going to have a fortnight break now at any stage, I mean, if they keep winning, the next weekend free they'll have will literally be Christmas Day, because there's no Munster club action then for that day, and then it'll go into January, So, I mean, Cratloe is the example I'm putting in 2014. It kind of caught up with them. I suppose people look at Schlockneil, but you just have less rounds of Ulster hurling to look into. But also, like touching on what Bernie's saying there about Schlockneil, maybe it's going to be benefit to them this year now, the fact that they only have hurling completely to focus on, and they've been out of the Derry football final for a while. I think it's Dunloy in a couple of weeks in the Ulster semi, and then Ballycran in the final. And there won't be as long a wait this year, and obviously they put it up to Ballyhale a couple of years ago, So I think, it's fair enough to put them in the top 4, given their record over the last couple of years.
So what changes are you making, Bernie? I think we need to drop any team that's gone, including the Piershig. I think we need to drop them out of this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we honoured Na Piarsaig's legacy by having them in the top 10, but they've got to go now. So then you're basically getting rid of 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I have to say I was happy that Mount Leinster Rangers stayed in at 10, just because, like, you were pushing for maybe a Borrisalee or someone from Tip, teams that are no longer like in the championship, but you know what I mean. So I'm happy that Mount Leinster are still there.
Eventually, I booted both of my teams out in terms of, like, I brought Kula down from, like, you had him in at 2 or 3, and I said no, it's not quite going that way at the moment. Did I not sort of readily agree that I wasn't sure Borrisalee would win the county title this year?
The one on Kula, I would definitely put my hand up on that one. I was only going on based on what we have seen and what they've won over the last while. Your intel was a little better there, and you were able to foresee the future a small bit. The one with Bursley is just, yeah, at least they've franked the form. I'm happy with that. But we need to probably, if I'm looking at teams that are going to come into the equation, Ballyea minus Tony Kelly, I can't have them in the top 10. I just can't. I honestly think Ballygunner will win by more than 6 when they played them in that quarter final. Middleton could potentially come in at the tail end of the 10, and other county titles. If I'm honest, I'm not going to put Rhinus into the mix. Clockballacalla in Laois is an interesting one. I think they're on TV on Saturday night against Rapparees, which I think they'll win. And Fintan, you were asking whether Ballygunner and Rapparees had played any practice games. They played each other there a few weeks ago, and right. Ballygunner gave them an awful hiding apparently. So Rapparees are going to have to turn it around fairly quickly. I don't see them doing it. I think Clockballacalla are probably just outside the top 10. I would have Middleton inside it, probably replacing the Rockies at 9, Shane, if I'm honest.
Yeah, would you have Kilmacud above them? Fintan, you feel free to jump in on that one too.
Maybe slightly on the basis that they have a bit of Leinster experience, Kilmacud. Or, well, just you tell me now, the last time they won in 14, is there much of that kind of team, or are we looking at a completely kind of new side? Because the one thing about Middleton is that they've had 2 runs in Munster, so I would put them in the top 10, but you kind of just have to kind of prove yourself that bit further. Like, they lost to 6 Mile Bridge in 13 in a Munster semi-final, and then they lost obviously to Ballygunner a couple of years ago. But like, as I said, they ran Ballygunner pretty close, a team that had got to the Munster Club final, or they won the Munster Club final subsequently, and ran Ballyhale close to the Ireland semi. So at the moment I think I'd be putting them in the top 10, but yeah, I think you have to. Unfortunately, anyone who's not involved in a county championship in these 2024 rankings, we can't be relying on legacy achievements here, when we're ranking these.
Shane, I'd have Crokes up high, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Crokes are not easily the second best team in Leinster, but I think they're the second best team in Leinster, and they'll get all the way to a Leinster final. And if anybody is going to beat Ballyhale, it will be them.
Well, let's just decide first off. Like, we're agreed that Shamrocks are number 1. Yeah, that's not up for debate. I think are we all agreed that Ballygunner are number 2, including you, Fintan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Are we happy with St. Thomas is at number 3?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Schlockneil at 4, Kilmallock 5.
Not sure about Kilmallock 5.
Fintan, what do you think?
Yeah, that's the one for me. Like, I don't think, between the tip champion Middleton at the moment, I think you would kind of rank pretty similar enough. Like, just one thing about Bernie saying there, I open the question, but I think the draw is actually will be Ballyhale v Kilmacud in a semi. So then is it Clocker v Rapparees against Rhinus?
Clock against Rapparees. Rhinus play the winners of Mount Leinster Rangers and Ballyhale in the semi-final. Okay. Yeah, the Offaly champions have gotten the plum draw. They're through to the semi-final, but their punishment is probably playing Ballyhale.
Right. So, like, of the 4, of say Clock, Rapparees, Raharney, Kilmacud, you're saying Kilmacud to get to the final against Ballyhale?
Yeah, it'd be Kilmacud. I'd probably say Clockballacalla would be second in that, but I'd still say Kilmacud would be 3 to 4 points better than them. Yeah.
And realistically, we probably all feel that Ballyhale are going to dismiss Mount Leinster Rangers straight away. So in some ways, because Ballyhale are such outrageous favourites to win that, and you see the least chance of a shot there, that probably drops Mount Leinster possibly even below teams that we think they could potentially beat, like a Raharney or whatever, because they're such outsiders in this game.
Yeah, and the fact that they gave the game was put back a week. I don't know if it was specifically to accommodate TJ Reid's wedding, but the game was supposed to be a day or two after TJ Reid's wedding. It's now a week after, so you'd have to say that definitely significantly lessens their chance of winning that. So yeah, I wouldn't have too much issue with them dropping outside the 10. I definitely I think Middleton will give it to Kilmallock. I think that's a 50-50 game. So there's no way for me that Kilmallock can be as high as they are. And I wouldn't have Crokes far off 5 or 6, to be honest.
I'd be happy to go Kilmacud Crokes at 5.
Yeah, like, I think them winning the county final and in the way that they did it, I think the world is their oyster. I think they could go really far.
Okay, well then the tip champions then. So, like, we haven't decided if it's Thurles or Lockmore just yet, but like, do they come with the way the draw is working out, they're going to play the winners of Waterford and Clare. So
I think they're at home for that. So is in Semple Stadium,
the good field, it's called.
On the basis of Ballygunner, if you're going to say you think Ballygunner beat Ballyer, I think whoever will win tip will have a good crack off them in that semi-final, and given the record of tip club teams over the last while has been, it's been definitely better than the Cork equivalents of the Munster Club Championship. So I'd nearly be putting the winners of that, whoever you think it's going to be. I'd probably be going a lot more, just about. So maybe them at 6. Still be putting Middleton in your top 10. Are you putting Ballyer outside of your top 10?
I think so. And I'll be honest with you, I think no matter who the Tipperary champions are, they could be playing Ballygunner in their back garden and they're still not going to beat them.
Wow. Sure, like Ballygunner and SARS had so many classic games over the years. Games that went to extra time and everything.
Or are we talking about over the years or are we talking about this year?
Jeez, that's ignorant enough stuff there.
At least they won't be accusing me of being windy anyway.
So we're going to put the tip champions at 6, are we?
I'm not happy with that. No.
No,
I'm not happy with that. They're down at they're down around 8 to 9 for me now. To be honest with you,
for me, on the basis of
for me.
Okay, right. I think that is a fair point. To be fair, a good point here from Adrian McGrath, or certainly a strong point. Ballyer are unlikely to beat Ballygunner, but if Ballygunner have any softness of attitude, Ballyer have a powerful defence, an incredibly athletic midfield, and a half-forward line, and 90% free taker. So that's a fair point. And also, Ballygunner, like I know you mentioned Ballygunner played the Raps, but geez, they've been sitting on the sideline waiting and all. It couldn't, like if Lockmore got through, it couldn't be more poles apart in terms of probably playing 19 weeks in a row at that stage for Lockmore versus playing first time in God knows how long. It was definitely a different season that Ballygunner were playing in because it was very sunny that day, wasn't it?
Totally different, yeah. Yeah, completely different.
Okay, so we still have to figure out the order here of Middleton. So Middleton versus Kilmallock in a semi-final. Who are you favouring there, Fintan, as the team who's just watched Middleton? Do you think they can beat Kilmallock?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And do you fancy them?
A lot of this stuff is very much flip of a coin at the moment. Like I don't see the gap compared to when the PRC played Blackrock a couple of years ago, or I don't see that amount of gap the way it was when or 6 Mile Bridge were coming to Clare. Munster just strikes me as a bit more even this year. I do agree. I think Ballygunner will win it on the basis at the moment, but Middleton Kilmallock to me is a complete toss of a coin game, to be honest. But it's just the way the draw works out. The fact that you're then into a Munster final, which will be on. Pretty sure it's after Christmas, isn't it? So you have another 4 weeks to develop. To me, that's an absolute kind of a game changing, for both clubs in terms of how your season can suddenly take off. Maybe the fact that Middleton schedule might have worked a little bit more in their favour 3 weeks. I mean, you go on with I know. I'm not saying it was very sunny conditions, whatever, but that was October 20th, wasn't it, Kilmallock? It was again like I said last week. A few of the Limerick hurlers obviously they went to Barbados, I think, the week after for the team holiday. They come back maybe refreshed and ready for a Munster Club campaign, but doubt they've had kind of too many challenge games. So maybe the momentum might swing it for Middleton up there.
So would you have them as high up as number 6 ahead of the tip champions?
No, I'd be going to tip champions 6 at the moment.
Okay.
With Kilmacud 5, and then be filling it out from there with Middleton, Kilmallock. It's probably another Leinster side deserves a shout. Yeah. Are we discounting Claren Bridge?
Well, they are still in it, like Dunloy.
Yeah.
Are we discounting them?
Yeah.
That's a massive Ulster semi-final. That is big, and I do think Schlockneil will marginally win it. But on the basis of that, if we have Schlockneil up 4th, does another Ulster side, particularly Dunloy, deserve representation in the 10? Potentially so. I wouldn't have Clough-Ballacalla a million miles from the top 10 either now. They're literally hovering 10 or 11 for me.
Lads, some of you are going to have to call it.
They've won 2 county championships in the last 10 weeks, I'd say, and I think they'll beat Rapparees. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Rapparees also. But would you put Dunloy ahead of them?
I'll be honest, Shane, I haven't seen enough of Dunloy. That's a lot of it. I prefer to be wrong, but go with a team that I've seen more of, rather than just make a blind judgment. I have seen very little of the Antrim Championship. That's just been honest.
like they've won a 3 in a row, and like if you look at some of the class players they have, Paul Shields, Keelan Malloy, Conal Cunning, Sean Elliott, I think it might be pronounced. They do have a lot of class there. And like, do you think Dunloy are more likely to win an Ulster Championship, or are the likes of a Clough, Collar, Raharney, Mount Leinster more likely to win Leinster? Realistically, it's going to be Ballyhale, isn't it?
Yeah, Dunloy are far more likely to win a provincial title. It would take a couple of massive results for any of those teams you mentioned to win Leinster.
Yeah, okay. So to me, that puts Dunloy higher up the pecking order here than the likes of a Raharney or a Clough Balacalla.
Well, I'm okay with that, because if I look at this in 3 weeks' time, I want to see 8 or 9 teams that are still going. Do you know what I mean?
So are Mount Leinster dropping out on the basis that we feel very strongly that Ballyhale are going to beat them?
Yeah, I think that's kind of fair enough, to be honest with you. Do we think Mount Leinster are the second best team in Leinster at this moment in time? I think Kilmacud are the second best team in Leinster. Yeah. So I'm okay with that.
And are you happy to go with Middleton ahead of Kilmallock?
Yeah, it's kind of a toss of a coin, I think, as Fintan says, to be fair. It's toss of a coin.
I put them both out. So if I was doing it, I'd put, say, Tip Champions 6, and I might go 7-8 Middleton Kilmallock. Because I think whoever wins, that's just the way the draw, like, it's just get over that game, and just the whole schedule kind of opens up for you. You're into a Munster final after Christmas, that will be played. I think we're probably all kind of thinking Ballygunner will get the job done on Sunday. The fact that it's up there is the slight thing about it. But obviously the big thing was a couple of years ago when it was that draw, Ballier had Kelly. I'm pretty sure Desi Hutchinson wasn't playing then, so like Ballygunner have gained him since then, you know, and I think they're probably maybe a couple of other kind of younger players as well. So maybe in a kind of bit of a stronger shape. But probably, are you thinking of Clough in the top 10 then? Clough and Dunloy to round it off?
I actually would put Ballier as a better chance to win Munster than some of the other teams that we're talking about in Leinster. Because I just think it's so likely that Shamrocks are going to win Leinster, and then I think Croke's number 2. But like Ballier to do what they've done without, they don't have Tony Kelly, obviously the unbelievable game breaker, but they still have quality all over the field, and a team that got to an All-Ireland final and the team that came back in Munster, even though they were down so many players, you know, they had a huge turnover of players. So to me, right, so my 10, and just stop me when you think I have it wrong. So
stop you straight away.
Yeah. Shamrocks, Ballygunner, Thomas's, Schlockneil, Kilmacud, Crokes, Tip Champions, Middleton, Kilmallock, Ballier, Dunloy.
I'd probably switch Dunloy and Ballier. If you're going to put Ballier in, like, I'd be honest, I think Ballier are out this weekend. Like, I think they're gone this weekend. Barn, I know Ballygunner are coming in cold, but I still think I can't see. I just can't see it. It's 6 to 8 for me minimum.
I give you that one actually. Yeah, I'd go with Dunloy at 9 on the basis that I think they have a better chance of winning Ulster.
Okay, who are we settling on for the Tipperary champions?
So are we agreed on everything else? Fintan, are you happy enough with that otherwise?
The only one I'll throw into it is, like, do we think Clarenbridge have a shot at the Galway title? Because obviously that means they're straight into the All-Ireland semi-final. I mean, they destroyed Crockwell to the Galway semi. Just from the outside, it seems like maybe it's a year too soon, but like I think they won the minor again at the weekend. Like, just seems like a club on the absolute rise. I thought their performance was very, very good in that semi-final. So like, if you think they have a shot at beating Thomas's, obviously on the basis Thomas is looking incredibly impressive at the semi-final, you know, given that there's no Connacht championship. And this is obviously effectively the Connacht final. Are you putting 2 Connacht teams into your top 10, you know?
Geez, that's a good point. He has us there, Michael.
They're 1 win away from being in the last 4, like. So, yeah. They'll be at the tail end of the 10 if they're in.
Well,
yeah, I'm only thinking about the last 2.
Ballier?
Well, you just talked up Ballier, why they should be in the top 10, so.
I know, but come on, it's not a simple thing.
But that was 5 minutes ago.
Like, the one big issue for Ballier is, like, they're in just a horrible side of the draw, you know. But like, if they do get over it, you then have to go to Thurles to beat team champions, and you're still not even in a final, you know. It is just the way it works out. Whoever gets in that Munster quarter, it can be a fairly bit of a dogfight to get through.
So now Okay, so are we more or less agreed then only to pick the tip champions? Clarenbridge in at 10?
And Dunloy at 9?
Dunloy at 9, Kilmallock at 8, Middleton at 7, Tip at 6. 1 to 5 we'd already agreed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go with that.
I'm happy with that, yeah.
So who are we picking in Tip? We'll have, do you know what? We'll all pick our winner of the final now, straight up, without any in-depth into it, who we think, and we'll go on a majority decision. Fintan?
I'm going Lockmore.
In a word, Lockmore Castellani, that's 2.
Sure, that's all we need. I don't even need to reveal. I actually can't call that at all, so I'm delighted you picked for me. I'm just going to bring the image up on screen here. Are you happy with this, by the way, lads?
But we're happy now, but me and you were delighted with the last power rankings we did.
Is there? Do you feel like there's an element of horse trading here, Fintan, that you're not entirely happy with this?
Yeah, well, I think after the top 4, I think we're all taking a few shots in the dark, aren't we? A bit more, you know? Yeah. And it's a bit more interchangeable.
Here it is on the screen. Shamrocks 1, Ballygunner 2, St. Thomas's 3, Schlockneal 4, Kilmacud Crokes 5, 6, Lockmore Castellani, 7, Middleton, 8, Kilmallock, 9, Dunloy, and 10, Clarenbridge.
I love how Kilmallock have fallen 3 and they haven't played a game.
Yeah,
but Leinster have got out of the top 10 and they haven't played a game.
That's also the image pinned on the Thurles dressing room, isn't it, for training tomorrow night, you know?
If you enjoyed this piece of content, please follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, which helps the channel grow. And if you want audio podcasts, go to patreon.com/ourgame.